Former England cricketer David Syd Lawrence has died at the age of 61. We're now joined by cricket journalist Dean Wilson, who helped write Lawrence's autobiography, to react to the news. Good morning, Dean. Always sad to speak under these circumstances, but thank you for joining us. Syd Lawrence, the first British-born black man to represent England. Just how significant a figure is he in English cricket?
Yeah, hi, good morning. Yeah, he's a terrifically important figure because, he was a trailblazer. He was an inspiration as a player at a time when being black in the UK came with a lot of difficulties. But we know in cricket, in football, in other sports during the 80s in particular, there were a number of black athletes, men, women, who really performed at the very highest level, and Sid was one of them. A hugely wholehearted, terrifying fast bowler at times. Charging in off the long run, whether it was over number one or over number 30, he never gave anything less than everything. And yeah, he with his performance, he got to the very top of the game, playing for England. And I think he would have played quite a lot more matches for England than the five tests that he did, were it not for a tragic knee injury that cut things short in 1992. But yeah, hugely important figure, and one who was kind of recognised as such by becoming president of Gloucestershire County Cricket Club, his former team, in the last 3 years. And yeah, really a very important person, I think, in the game.
Of Gloucester cricket, how much of an impact did he have in that role?
Yeah, look, he loved it. I mean, he was really honoured to be named as president, and he wanted to do things a little bit differently. He was always very keen to make sure he wasn't a kind of committee room gin and tonic kind of president. He wanted to be a very open, warm, encouraging, and inclusive president. And he made sure that President's Day at Gloucestershire was a fun-filled, welcoming event. I think he turned it into a mini carnival a couple of years ago, when he had, food, drink, music, entertainment, for everyone in the community, something for everyone to enjoy. So he was very much about making the county ground in Bristol a kind of hub of the community, that everyone could feel welcome. He was a very positive and I guess inclusive kind of person. He wanted to bring people together. That's what he did in his second career as a nightclub and restaurant owner. He wanted people to have a good time and enjoy fun together, and that's how he was as president of Gloucestershire.
And you helped to write his autobiography in Sid's voice. How special was that experience, spending time with him, speaking to him about his life?
Yeah, incredibly special. I feel very lucky and kind of privileged to have been able to share that time with him and hear those stories and hear about his life. Of course, I knew him as a cricketer. I knew certain things, but I found out so much more speaking to him every day. We would speak to each other at 10 o'clock every day to try and get these stories out of him before he lost his voice. The name of the book is In Sid's Voice, because following the diagnosis with MND, we knew that he would lose that voice pretty quickly, and he did by kind of early December. And so we spoke every day. Sometimes those conversations were funny and heartfelt and lengthy, and other times they were quite short and sweet. And sometimes we didn't even talk at all because the condition had kind of got hold of him, and he was really struggling. So I feel privileged to have been able to spend that time with him, talk to him, hear his story. And this book, really is his story. I'm just the kind of the conduit to help him along, but these are his words, his voice, and yeah, hopefully people can get a bit of an insight what it was like for him, and he did lead an extraordinary life.
Was there any particular story that stood out to you that you remember Sid from?
Yeah, look, there are a few stories that are pretty impressive. I mean, I liked his connection with Princess Diana. He was awarded the Young Cricketer of the Year in 1985 by the Cricket Writers Club, and Princess Diana actually came to the club. She was the patron, and she came and presented that award to him in early 1986. He had a nice chat with her, and I think impressed her with his bowling, even though he just came in off a couple of paces. And then, later on, just over 10 years later, he was one of three representatives from the club who were invited to her funeral in '97. And he tells a story about going along with Jack Russell and sitting behind Henry Kissinger and Ruby Wax, two unlikely characters that he would have met. But he tells a story in the book how Ruby Wax just wouldn't stop talking, and Jack Russell had to kind of tap her on the shoulder and ask her to be quiet, which he was for about 10 seconds before started talking again. So, yeah, I quite like that tale.
And Lawrence, he was awarded an MBE for his campaigning in the fight against motor neurone disease. Dean, I suppose a really fitting tribute to his efforts.
Yeah, definitely. He really appreciated that honour. He said to me after receiving, he never expected to have those kind of awards. Have those three little letters after his name. A son of Jamaican parents, but fiercely proud Gloucester boy and man. Born in Gloucester. Very much proud of his West of England roots, and to be recognised. Firstly, he was recognised by the ECB recently with a a vice chair's award, and one of six honorary vice chairs of the ECB, and then to be awarded his MBE. These were really kind of proud moments for him and for his family. He's such a family man. Grandfather, father, husband. And I think he was obviously thinking about his legacy, as is entirely understandable when you're faced with your own mortality. And I think he was, yeah, incredibly proud that he would have that legacy, and his family could talk about their Dave, and that he was Dave Lawrence MBE. So yeah, a fantastic moment for him, and glad that he got it before the end.
Dean, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, no problem.